Hello, my name is Melissa Martin, and I am presenting a lesson for you on writing feedback strategies for the English 101 classroom. So our first learning goal is that students will describe the qualities of effective feedback in relation to writing assignments. The second learning goal is that students will list 4 types of feedback opportunities. Our learning activity is a turn and talk. So students will take notes during the lesson, and at intervals, I will stop the lesson and you will get together with your group and have a discussion. So go ahead and look at your neighbor, and you're going to pick the closest 2 or 3 other students. So you'll form a group of 3 or 4. And when I stop the lesson and give you instructions, you'll turn and talk with those people. That'll be your group for a learning activity. All right, so we're going to start with the importance of feedback on student writing. And so right now you can just go ahead and listen, and I'll let you know when you need to start taking notes. So academic writing is most often how students are expected to show what they know. Therefore, student academic writing is at the heart of teaching and learning in higher education. Students improve their writing by writing, receiving feedback, and then rewriting. Students learn to write by writing, by getting advice and feedback on their writing, and then writing some more. So it's writing, writing, writing. Feedback plays a powerful role in learning and is an essential tool for improving academic writing. It would be difficult for a student to improve in their writing without feedback. So now we're going to get into the qualities of effective feedback, and this is where you want to start taking notes. So we're going to discuss that effective feedback needs to be clear. It should be personalized, and it should be action-oriented. So we're going to go more in depth on each of those 3 qualities. Effective feedback is clear. Ensure your comments are legible and clearly worded. Write full thoughts in straight lines. Consider typing your comments and make sure you're avoiding jargon. A lot of the students that you get in an English 101 classroom are not going to be English majors. So definitely avoid jargon. Structure your comments to line up with your rubric so students understand precisely how to meet expectations. Both direct and indirect comments are effective types of feedback. So a direct comment is one where you as the instructor would correct the error for the student. An indirect comment is where you indicate that there is an error, but you do not provide the correction for them. Both types of comments are proven to be effective. Comments should be precise, but that doesn't mean they need to be terse. You don't need to try to use as few words as possible. What you need to do is make sure that your comment is understandable. A statement such as faulty grammar doesn't clarify the problem. If you're unsure how to explain the error, it is useful to provide an alternative sentence as a correct example. So if you're unsure, provide a model sentence. Sometimes it's easier to show than to try to explain. So these are 3 examples of clear feedback, right? So first we have offering a correct example or an alternative sentence or part of a sentence. A second type of clear feedback is to make a specific suggestion, such as break this into 2 sentences. A third type of clear feedback would be to ask a question, such as, why are you using a comma here? Effective feedback is personalized. Personalized feedback builds relationships between the two parties. This relationship can increase a student's motivation. When a student's writing is unclear, attempt to understand what the writer is trying to say and suggest alternatives or simply ask questions to bring about understanding. What do you mean here? Or can you think of another way to say this? Personalized feedback shows the writer you take their writing seriously. Effective feedback is action-oriented. Effective feedback is useful feedback. The students need to be able to act on the feedback. So effective feedback is scaffolded. Comments are a scaffold for students' learning. As an instructor, you are providing the rungs on the ladder for students to reach the next step of writing improvement. Effective feedback is constructive. This goes for positive comments and needs work comments. Both types send a specific message on what to do next time. The comments should describe specifically what to maintain and what needs work. Students must engage with the feedback that they receive. They must be able to act on it, and they should be encouraged to engage with the feedback they receive. All right, so now you're going to turn and talk in your groups, and I want you to take turns and listen to each other. Each person is going to describe one quality of effective feedback. So what is that quality and why is it effective? All right, go ahead. All right, so now we're going to get into the specifics of effective feedback. Effective feedback is neat and focused. Comments should be neat, straight, effortlessly readable, and always respectful. Comments should have a major focus. Important issues to focus on: thesis, structure, evidence, analysis, sources, and style. Show restraint by not focusing on lesser issues such as grammar or mechanics. If the student has issues with those things, it's fine to mention them, but don't make them a large focus of your comments. And then we have final comments. Final comments at the end of the paper should reflect your understanding of the paper's main point. And then you're going to have those comments that you write in the margin. Comments in the margins of the paper should tie into the final comments. So they should go together. They should match up. Consider the current stage of the writing process. Where is the student in that writing process? Debatable questions should come early in the writing process. All right, now we're going to get into 4 types of feedback opportunities. There is written feedback, the writing conference, peer review, and reflection. So make sure you get down these 4 types. I'm going to go in depth on each one of these 4. So first of all, written feedback is teacher to student, right? Written feedback should not stand alone. Written feedback is a dialogue. So it's essential that students can properly interpret the feedback. Written feedback is just one part of the feedback conversation. So the writing conference is really where you're getting that dialogue going, right? Come into the writing conference prepared for dialogue. For feedback to be useful, it must be seen by all parties as a dialogue, a conversation about students' writing. The writing conference helps to ensure comments are understood so that they can be put into action. The conference does not have to be in depth, but should develop a shared understanding in order to be corrective. Remember, we want the student to be able to use the comments and to put them into action. Then we have the peer review. Peer comments enhance the sense of an audience, which fosters ownership and increases collaboration. Peer conferencing is student-centered learning that promotes collaboration, and the recursive nature of both the writing process and the peer review process increases critical thinking about writing. So the students are really ingraining themselves in their work and in their peers' work, and that helps both sides. So then the last type of feedback opportunity is reflection. Student action is critical to make the feedback effective. So the student really needs to process and reflect on the feedback. Reflective journaling is one technique to have students act on their feedback. Students improve as writers when they actively consider their strengths, the areas they need to improve, and consider each writing assignment not as a hoop to jump through, but another step forward as a writer. All right, so this is your activity number 2. You're going to turn and talk in your groups, and you're going to have each person list one type of feedback opportunity and describe a benefit that goes with that opportunity. And that's the end of my presentation. If you have questions, I'm happy to talk about those on our discussion board.